The concept of angels is a very mystical and abstract concept in both occultic and orthodox religions. In the more orthodox circles, the Orthodox believe fundamentally that angels and humans' connections are almost like a one-way street, and where humans don't have too much of a means to contact angels. However, angels have all the means to contact us. However, you get a lot more nuance in the more occultic, spiritual, Gnostic, and Hermetic circles of religions, and where angels are seen as everyday path-working guides that can be contacted, spoken to, and approached during your spiritual journey. However, what if I were to tell you that when one opens these gates, it doesn't mean that every single contact you're going to have with an angel is good? Does that mean that angel in nature is bad? Not necessarily. However, it does mean that our nature as human beings aren't meant to handle the radiance and glory of an average angel. There are different classes of angels that I will get to later on in the video, and this is the main focal point of the video, is different classes of angels. So without further ado, the Ikhwan Astahab, also known as the Brethren of Gold in English, is proud to present 3 angels that are dangerous to encounter. To preface this video, I want to discuss the different classes of angels, because many people are probably wondering, why do angels have different classes? What is a school? Like, what's the significance of it? Well, here it is. The significance of knowing different angelic classes titles, such as Hasmalim, Ophanim, Malakim, Seraphim, Cherubim, thrones, principalities, powers, virtues, archangels, is, believe it or not to complicate things. It is for 2 distinct reasons. Number 1, to understand the different roles that are played in God's kingdom, and 2, to map out one's stages in a spiritual ascension journey. So, starting off with point 1, in many different Hermetic circles and doctrines, they hold the idea of as above, so below, that things in the higher realms correspond to things in the lower realms. With this in mind, it is part of one's spiritual journey to find the reflections and the connections of higher realms to lower ones, and reconcile these two and transmute a mixture of both. The way this works in a pragmatic sense, or even in an angelic sense for the context of this video, is that just like how a sovereign leader on earth creates different roles and occupations for people in his kingdom, the sovereign leader of the higher realms, being God, does the same thing, in where they sanction different roles and different occupations and principalities. That's another angelic title, but principalities of different angels for them to operate properly in a society. For example, in Islam, the archangels have different roles and different functions in God's overall plan. For example, Gabriel in Islam gives revelation. Israfil or Raphael is the herald of the judgment day. He blows the trumpet of the horn. Azrael, which isn't too much mentioned, also known as Malak al-Maut, he's responsible for transitioning people from the living to the afterlife. So different angels, even in the archangel categories, play different roles in God's kingdom. So what about the mapping of different stages in one's spiritual journey? So when one starts path working with the Kabbalah, the different classes of angels are located on different spheres on the tree of life. The ones I know so far is that the Cherubim are on sphere 9, the Bani Elohim are on sphere 8, the Seraphim are on sphere 5, and the thrones are on sphere 3. So when one is ascending up the tree of life and they are noticing all these different classes of angels in their spiritual journey, this is a telling of where you are in the tree and what you're experiencing. So, in summary, before we get into the video of the different classes of angels that are very dangerous to encounter, we've talked about how essentially that different classes of angels are meant to sanction roles in God's kingdom and to map out where you are in your journey. So let's get started with the actual meat and potatoes of why you're here, right? We need to get to the bottom of the different classes that are dangerous to encounter. So the third most dangerous angel to encounter is the Watchers. So who are the Watchers? The Watchers are in the book of Enoch and in the book of Daniel. They are angelic beings who, like their title suggests, watch over humanity and look over their affairs. In the book of Enoch, somewhere down the line, the Watchers betray God's will and teach humans illicit dark secrets that should have never came to them. This overall teaching of teaching humans dark secrets and the mixing of humanity and angelic beings is what causes the flood of Noah, apparently. In the more Islamic angelology, the concept of fallen angels or angels falling or sinning or even having free will is vehemently rejected by most, if not all, scholars of Islam. However, in the Quran, there's a story that suggests that there are watcher beings in there. In chapter 2, verse 102 of the Quran, we learn about the Babylonian angels Harut and Marut that taught humanity black magic, but only as a means of testing and trial. With this narrative of Harut and Marut teaching human beings black magic, there is a overall tafsir exegesis stating that the concept of Harut and Marut comes from the books of Enoch. So that's what happens if you encounter a watcher from the book of Enoch. You will get, what makes them a dangerous angel to encounter is that they might come off as benevolent, or they might come off as they're trying to teach you something good, but really what they're teaching you is some very, very dark and illicit stuff. In the more Daniel narrative, however, the Watchers appear to King Nebuchadnezzar in his dream and inform him about his iniquities and what he has done as a tyrannical ruler. So even in a positive sense, the Watchers never come to bear good news for people like Angel Gabriel does. So, in conclusion, for the first point, the Watchers are a dangerous angel to encounter because they're only meant to test you and tempt you into stuff that you don't want to do as a person. Moving on to the next angelic class. So the next dangerous angel to encounter in one's journey are the angels of death. Who exactly are the angels of death? Angels of death are beings that bring souls into transitioning towards the next stages of life. Typically speaking, angels of death are located on the left pillar of the tree of life. Even in Islamic and Jewish occultism, this holds true, with the Shams al-Ma'arif by Al-Buni talking about how the Archangel of Death Azrael is located with the planet Saturn, which is the sphere Bina of the tree of life, which is on the left pillar. Even in Jewish Kabbalah, the angel of death is known as Samael, and he is located on the Klipothics 8th sphere. Sphere 8 is located on the left pillar of the tree of life. So with these two being located on the left pillar of this tree of life, the angels of death, although they belong to an angelic class, they are on the left hand of God. This really shows a distinction between God's right and left hand. People are probably wondering, what do you exactly mean by God's right and left hand? This is actually like a fixing of when scripture means that God has a right and left hands. See, what it means is that God has a right hand of mercy, right? But then he has a left hand of justice. So death is the due justice that is done to all of us because we are sinners, correct? So eventually death comes and takes us. It is the left hand of God. If you are visited by an angel of death, it can mean either three things. 1, that you are about to die. 2, someone close to you about to die. Or 3, someone has called the angel of death upon you to assassinate you. And that is why angels of death are very, very hard are very, very scary to encounter. Moving on to the last angels I think are very, very dangerous to encounter. These being the Enochian angels. Now, this one is a very spicy topic, y'all. So why am I so excited to talk to you guys about this certain point in the video? The reason why is because I actually have a little bit of experience in this topic that I'm mentioning here, and that is the topic of Enochian. You see, Enochian is a very predominant Elizabethan English magic system that revolves around the language of Enochian and the practice of opening sigils such as watchtowers and tablets. In the Enochian system, there are 30 aethers or airs that one must travel through, and even places like the abyss that one must cross over in order to reach the highest aether. During one's journey through the aethers, one will travel and find and encounter Enochian angels. The reason why the Enochian angels are the most dangerous angel to encounter, and here's the plot twist about this video, guys, is that the actual nature of Enochian angels is actually very ambiguous, with many different circles and spiritual circles of people saying that Enochian angels are actually jinns. Yeah, so when I experienced Enochian for a system, I got a lot of clarity, I got a lot of cognizance, and I got a lot of like I guess like I was able to see beyond the veil a little bit more. And when I was talking to one of my mentors about this, he said that Enochian is very good for astral abilities like astral clairvoyance and traveling and projection. However, it's a results-based system at the end of the day, and the angels there are not actually angels, they're jinns. Now, here's the thing though. I want to challenge this. I think this is contested. And the reason why I think this is contested is because I've had a lot of experiences with these, and I want to further my research into the Enochian system and see what exactly these beings are. If you guys would like to support my endeavors and finding the deeper meaning behind what these beings were visited towards John Dee and Edward Kelly, then be sure to leave a like, comment, and subscribe. But I just want to let you guys know this is exactly where I've been going, like, wise on my spiritual journey. I've been a lot into the Golden Dawn practices like Enochian, and I'm so glad to have finally been able to reach a point where I can chase after them. So if you guys would like to see more records of my experiences and what I have recorded to have found along the way, then be sure to leave a like, comment, subscribe. Peace out, guys. This has been the top 3 most dangerous angels to encounter. Ikaw nastahap.